So today I kind of wanted to make some sort of off-the-cuff remarks on self-improvement and how it is possible to improve yourself, and sort of the method that I've been trying to use and why it doesn't work and what might work about it and why other people might benefit from it more than me. So I've tried to think a lot recently about how I can systematically improve my life. Now, I'm someone with extremely low motivation. I'm probably more towards the low energy side of personality. I'm an introvert and I struggle to get myself to mobilize and actually do stuff in my life. So I kind of sat down and thought, well, if I could have a method to sort of systematically improve myself so that I know I'm dedicating my discipline to the right things, what would that method look like? And I thought, well, people have problems in their everyday life which they normally ignore and do nothing about, and they have quite simple solutions, right? So, for example, I had eczema, I still have eczema, it's a chronic condition, but I realized that if I put on cream, like just after brushing my teeth, then it got rid of the eczema. And for years, I'd been blaming the eczema on myself, like blaming myself for scratching too much or whatever, but that's just simply not how eczema works. I think this is looking a bit dark and smoggy. As you can see, it's typical Melbourne weather out the window right here, just overcast for no apparent reason, even though we're heading into summer. Anyway, I digress. So I thought to myself, if I just look at one problem a day that I'm having, take for example the eczema, and then think how to fix it, write down the solution, and then commit to that solution on a daily basis, then surely I just improve my life, but like one problem at a time, one problem every day. And I was like really excited about this solution, and I thought it would work. And then it kind of didn't. First off, with my little journaling exercise, I kept a journal of all my problems and all their solutions. First of all, I fell off track with that. And so it again comes down to the problem of disciplining yourself enough to perform an action every day. And I guess at the end, it's just practice. And even when you fall off, you have to just find a way to work it back into your routine and keep trying. But yeah, so that was the first thing that went wrong. But the second thing that went wrong is I was focusing on all these sort of small problems, and I completely forgot about the bigger problems in my life because they just become part of everyday life, right? And so you don't think of them as problems anymore. And so the way this method has to work is that you have to deal with the biggest problem first. But then with the biggest problem in my life, I found that it would actually take months to fix. And so I had this idea where I could like tackle one problem every day for like the rest of my life, and I just keep growing and growing as a person. But that turns out not to be the case, because some problems can like take months to resolve, especially if they're emotional based problems. So this whole process moves a lot slower than you think, and you have to be careful not to get caught up in small little novel problems, right? You have to be able to look at the biggest problems that you're facing, and you have to be able to define those problems well, because at the end of the day, you create your own problems. You're the one who like labels something in your life as a problem, and so you can choose to define a problem in a way that you can solve it today, or you can choose to define it in a way that puts the responsibility on somebody else. For example, if you're having relationship issues, you can just put the blame on the other person and then say, like, all the problems in my life stem from this one other person who isn't giving me enough affection or isn't treating me well enough. Or you can go, actually, this is a me problem. I've let someone into my life who I should never have in the first place, and therefore I should be the one to go out and find like a new partner. Or you can admit that maybe like you're being too needy, and then you need to work on that. So really, you're creating a problem. By defining a problem, you're creating a problem, and you have some choice over the type of problems you create in your own life. Now, if you're thinking like, if we are the ones who truly create our own problems, like, why are we doing this? Could we simply choose not to create problems? And the thing is, you have to have problems in your life to grow. If you don't have problems, then you won't survive, for one thing, because the greatest problem about life that we create in our own lives is survival. Now, we could choose not to survive. We could choose to say, survival isn't an issue for me, I don't care whether I survive or not, and that survival's no longer a problem, but then you're gonna die. So we do have to create problems in our everyday life to just basically survive and grow. We have to define survival as a problem, because if we don't, then you're dead. So I guess my two main points, if you're going to use this method of going through every single one of your problems, finding a solution, etc., then really what you have to be doing is working out how you're going to define the problem constructively, making sure that you're focusing on a significant systemic problem and not just minute problems, and also dedicating yourself to journaling daily, to actually sitting down and acknowledging that this practice is extremely important if you want to improve yourself. And why is it so dark all of a sudden? That's crazy, man. The weather's all over the place. Now, the best solutions to problems really have to, I use a method called retrograde questioning. So it's kind of different to discipline, because I could say, like, I'm failing uni, for example, and then I could ask myself why I'm not failing uni, and then I could say because I'm not studying enough, and then I could say, well, in that case, I'm going to study for 6 hours a day, and I'm going to get good at uni. And now that could theoretically work, except if you're someone who's lazy and unmotivated and undisciplined, then you're not going to want to sit down and study 6 hours a day. So then you've got to ask yourself the next question: why am I not studying? And when I do study, where do I study best, right? And so for me personally, I study best when I'm at the library, when I'm actually out, when I go out with the intention to study. I set myself up with my water bottle, maybe some food or whatever, so I can focus. And so then you go, great, so I know the environment in which I'm going to study best. And then the next question is, how can I put myself in that environment on a regular basis? And then you look at the factors. You look at the days when you go to the library and the days when you don't, and you work out the common factors there. And then you can keep going back with your questioning, going like, okay, so what leads to the type of day where I'm most likely going to go to the library? How can I structure my life so that it's easier for me to go to the library? And you keep back questioning until you get to an answer. And this method is incredibly useful, and to be honest, I don't use it enough in my own life. And so now you've kind of got this method for like solving your problems, which hopefully doesn't rely too much on discipline, because you can look at the factors which sort of motivate you to go to the library in the first place and just increase those factors and make sure that your environment is sort of conducive of studying. But studying is just one arbitrary example. This kind of applies to any problem, really. But see, this is where most people might actually sort of stop using this method, because like complete structural changes to your life are not easy. And you might be able to acknowledge that maybe you're working in the morning, for example, and the fact that you're working in the morning, that's using up all like your best study time. And so that might mean that you have to quit your job and find a job in the evening so that you can study in the morning and like work a night job. But you might not want to leave your job for several reasons. One being the economy at the moment, which is shit. But you know, so those deep structural changes are extremely difficult, require a lot of emotional labor. And so even if you're able to pinpoint the stuff that's holding you back and the stuff that is systemically wrong in your life, then it's still going to be like difficult to make those changes. So I understand why some people might get stuck with this method, even for like, you know, months, years, because there are some systemic issues which, especially like, say that you're married, right, with kids, and a systemic issue in your life is your abusive partner, you know. But like, then there's lots of like, there's kids, finances, you live together, like these are all massive factors, and it's not that easy to get rid of someone who you're so closely entangled with. So I understand that it would be extremely hard to just go through like every one of your problems, starting with the biggest one, and you know. But if you try and solve all these small problems in your life, some problems exist in isolation, like my eczema example from earlier. Like that's a little problem that you can just fix. It's not really intertwined with any other issues. But there's a lot of problems that crop up in your life which actually stem from like the biggest or the bigger problems in your life. And so if you keep trying to just solve them without solving the larger problem, you're not going to have any success. It's going to keep cropping up. And the thing is, if you're feeling like lazy and unmotivated and stuff like that, I guarantee you that's, well, I mean, there's like disorders like ADHD, etc. There's a million different mental disorders. But if you're neurotypical or you don't have any mental health diagnoses, etc., I can guarantee you that low motivation is probably coming from the fact that your life is not structured correctly. It's not structured around your passions or interests. There are many external factors which are holding you back. And so the way to solve that is just by restructuring your life. Easier said than done. And I'm coming from a position where I'm talking about this and I'm trying to actively apply this in my life, and I am struggling. And I guess what I need to work on is, like, I kind of understand these methods. What I need to actually work on now is the implementation, actually sitting down for half an hour a day and just self-reflecting. Because at the end of the day, that's like the main role of sort of consciousness. Now, I'm more a, if you've heard of like the, do we have free will, do we not have free will debate, basically what that is you make choices in your life, but could you ever make any other choices from the ones that you do? And how this ties into what I'm speaking about is, like, some people say, well, you know, we don't have free will, the brain just makes whatever choice it will, it's always going to make the same choice, there's nothing we can do, which is kind of pessimistic in a way, and that would imply that there's like no point in ever trying to change yourself or grow as a person, because the brain's going to do what the brain's going to do. I think it's worth believing in free will just for the utility of it, but that being said, I don't think we have as much free will as we think we do, in the sense that you're strongly controlled by your emotions, desires, impulses. I mean, do you choose to be hungry? Do you choose to like need to eat food? Because believe me, I'd prefer not to eat food. I'd prefer not to waste my time on sleep or eating or, you know, any of these other rubbish things. I want to pursue other stuff. But your body makes you eat and go to the toilet and perform all those regular functions. So, like, how much free will and like control over your time do you actually have, and how much is just your body at the end of the day? And so that led me to think sort of what is the role of consciousness within the body. And I think it is to be able to look at the self, look at how the self is interacting with the world, and notice patterns. So your job as a conscious agent, a self-aware agent, so to speak, is to actually just notice patterns within the self and then notify the body about this. So you as a conscious agent can go, okay, I keep every time I wake up, I eat a bunch of chocolate, and this is causing me nutritional problems, right? So you're able to notice that, and then you're able to inform the body of that, and then you're able to potentially make a change. But if you're not actively journaling or like trying to be more aware, of this sort of the patterns in your life, then how do you expect to sort of fulfill your role within the body? Because, like, you know, the heart has to pump blood around the body constantly to keep all your cells alive. That's the role of the heart. The lungs have to remove carbon dioxide and, you know, put oxygen into your body, and that's their role, and they have to do that constantly. Your role as consciousness is to be conscious, is to be aware of the patterns within your life and the unhealthy patterns within your life, and help the body in that way. So, in a sense, are you performing your role within the body? That's one way to think about it. And that's why, like, journaling down each one of your problems, trying to find solutions, that's basically you doing your job as consciousness. Now, I'm very much an anti-discipline kind of person, which sounds bad, but I found that discipline doesn't really work in my own experience. Like, if I tell myself I have to do something for 3 hours every day of the year, I'm very, very unlikely to follow through with that. And so what I have found is that it's best to look at what motivates you. And, you know, there's a reason that you get out of bed in the morning, normally, and there's a reason that you do stuff. Because if you're alive, you're going to be doing something with your day. You're going to be motivated to do something, even if it's just lying in bed watching, like, YouTube or something. You're going to be motivated to do something. And so I realized that normally I'm motivated to go to work. I'm not motivated to study, but I am motivated to go to work. And when I go to work, I put in my best effort, always. And I was thinking, how can I harness that and sort of apply it to study? And I thought, well, what are the factors motivating me to go to work? Because it's not discipline, it's the fact that I need money, for one, and also the social element of wanting to impress my boss. Because the thing is, I have a few jobs where I can sort of work when I like, you know, and I'm not motivated to go to those because I'm my own boss in a sense, and I'm shit at being my own boss, sorry to say. However, I work well when I'm directed by someone else. So I know that sounds bad. I'm not much of a free thinker, but I guess self-discipline is something that I really need to work on then. But my point is, so the factors that make me go to work are like having a boss, and like that external sort of someone like telling me what to do, and then motivated by money. And well, those are essentially the reasons I go to work. You know, I wouldn't do it for any other reason. And I like the people there, so there's a social element. And then I was thinking, well, how can I apply that to my study? Because when I'm studying, I have to be my own boss. And so I came up with this solution, and I thought, like, I will give my money to my sister, and then I'll keep a journal of my study, and if I don't study for enough hours, then my sister gets to keep a certain amount of that money. And I'm actually yet to implement this. I'll implement it during when I go back to uni, trimester 3. But I was just like, yeah, because that brings in the money element, that brings in sort of the external sort of person who's going to tell me what to do. And well, I guess I'll have to update you guys on whether that works or not. But yeah, see, so you've got to take those factors that you know motivate you and then work them into the project that you're not motivated towards. I think that would be like particularly helpful for people who like really struggle with self-discipline and that sort of thing.